reason why you have to get on the live stream is because today I'm dressed by Bitnaware KE. Thank you so much, Charity, for having joined me and talked about the brand. But while we're on the subject of brands, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Professor Myriam Sidibe.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for having me here today.
I am so happy. Like, were you even a doctor when we met? Had you done your PhD?
Yeah. I did that a long time ago. Finished that in 2005.
Oh, yeah. Because we first met 2010.
That's true. 2010. Yeah, that's
2010. Yeah, it's a long history that we have. So for those who are not in the inner circle, who is Professor Sidibe?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. So I'm a mom. I've got 4 wonderful kids. I'm a wife. I am a daughter, obviously. But I think I'm quite an accomplished professional as well. I started my professional career as an engineer. A doctorate in handwashing with soap is something that I wanted to obviously share. Spend then 15 years in Unilever, being able to actually understand how you could translate what I learned in handwashing with soap.
Wait. You got your PhD in hand washing and soap in 2005?
Yeah.
2005?
Yeah, it wasn't really fashion then.
Because you eclipsed me. I thought I was going to give you news about how I was a hand washing ambassador in 2011, with the late Dr. Kaidar. She was doing her PhD. But no, you were doing this. It was not fashionable at all.
Not at all. Everybody was making fun of me.
Me too. And I used to go to the Corococho and teach the women how to make the liquid soap so that they could sell it and use it. And they're like, what are you doing? What is a hand washing ambassador? What is this nonsense?
I remember that. And you've done a very, very good job with that. No, I think, I got myself into hand washing almost a bit by accident, to be honest. I'd finished an engineering degree. I went to work in refugee camps in Burundi. And then I realized that nobody was washing hands and nobody was using the toilets we were building. So I went back to do a PhD, thinking about the behaviors. So how would you get people to wash hands? How would you get people to actually use toilets? And then here I was, right? And I went to present my research to Unilever, who's the world's largest soap manufacturing, and then they offered me a job. So I joined Unilever for 15 years, having this amazing platform of the world's largest soap manufacturer to do all the crazy things I ever wanted to do on hand washing.
Yes.
So that's how we met. So we met when I was creating Global Hand Washing Day, when I was driving the world's largest hand washing program to 1 billion people across the world. That's before it was fashionable. Now everybody says, God, like this woman was way ahead of her time. Like COVID, did you see COVID coming? I was like, no, not really. But I'm so glad that so many people are washing hands a lot more today than they were, I guess, 10 years ago.
Professor, you know that hand washing is one of the most powerful tools we have, to combat communicable diseases. It's like for basic hygiene. And when you see people not washing their hands, you think to yourself, what are you talking about? Like, why would you ever get into that space? So when is Global Hand Washing Day, by the way?
It's an advocacy day that, I created in 2008 to be able to get stakeholders and to profile hand washing with soap, because nobody was actually thinking of it seriously.
When is it? When is the actual day?
It's the 15th of October every year, and it's now celebrated in over 100 countries with 500 million people every year participating. And we started this with something very small, just put a lot of competitors together, Lifebuoy, Safeguard, Dettol, all of those work together to create the day so that we can all celebrate it as a way to remember. But now it looks like with COVID, every day is Global Hand Washing Day.
Every day is Global Hand Washing Day. I love it. And it seems that your passion has extended into brands and ethical business.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about brands on a mission. How did you segue into that?
Yeah, so I spent 15 years in Unilever in marketing. Trying to understand how marketing can be a force for good. How do you infuse ethics and values in marketing so you can use brand power to change social norms? Mainly around hand washing was my starting point. That's where I spent a lot of my time. Then I moved into more health and nutrition and realized that a lot of the preventable issues that we have are lifestyle issues, and brands intersect and are part of our lifestyle. So there is an opportunity there to get people to eat more vegetables, for people to exercise more, for people to wear condoms when they need to, for people to really think about some of those behaviors, for people to drink more responsibly so that, they don't end up hitting their wives, at home.
Or killing others on the road behind their cars.
Killing others on the road. After spending 15 years, I took a sabbatical and moved to Harvard, where
I like how you say, after 15 years, I took a sabbatical and moved to Harvard. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in just a bit.
Spice.
6.0 SpiceFM. Hello, Nakuru. I'm Olivia Otieno. This is 00 Direct, a safe space for women. Coming up, music. Amazing tracks by amazing women. Right now, though, Professor Myriam Sidibe. She is a woman on a mission. She just told me you're originally from Mali.
I am, Olivia. You didn't know that? I can't believe that.
You probably told me because the first time we met was at one of your birthdays, and I must admit I left slightly inebriated. Slightly. I'm using big words like inebriated because I'm in the presence of a professor. So you are author, founder, and chief mission officer.
I am indeed. Yes, I am.
What is a mission officer?
Basically, it's a title I created to mirror the CMO, so
Yes.
Chief Marketing Officer, because I believe that marketing should be on a mission, right? It's not just about selling, purpose and selling brands, but it's also about using those brands for good and actually having a mission for good. So I decided to mirror that and saying that every Chief Marketing Officer should be a Chief Mission Officer.
I had some feedback from the people I sent the poster to with your name and title, and they're like, I love that. Chief Mission Officer. I'm applying. Joy, I'm talking to our HR director. Joy, I'm applying to be Chief Mission Officer at the Standard Group. I have Monday to Friday mostly free. So tell me, you are a B Corp as brands on a mission, right?
Yes.
What is that? What does B Corp stand for?
Well, B Corp is the highest certification you can get as a business to show that your business is mainly driving social impact. So we registered Brands on a Mission in Kenya, but we are a multinational. We work across the world. We have a team of about 7-8 people across the world also. And we're working with a variety of companies and brands to help them accelerate their impact in health and well-being. So we
Yes.
work from helping a beer brand to see what they can do in terms of smart drinking, getting people to drink water in between their beers, or not drink and drive, or not using beer as an excuse to beat up women.
Yes.
So we're working, for example, on hand washing with soap brands. We are working on hydration and getting water brands to get people to drink water as a way to reduce obesity. We're working on the National Business Compact, which we will share about, a multi-stakeholder platform to get social causes gone. So we're working on dietary diversity and get people to eat more greens or eat more fruits or get children to have breakfast through, different brands. So I think the idea here is that there is an opportunity for those brands to do more than just talk about their products, but to accompany their products with social messages that are full of ethics and values so that we can interrupt people's lives with real sense of purpose, but also giving them a chance to be able to adopt lifestyle changes that are going to be beneficial for them.
Have they seen any profitability in that? Because a question mark always is like, people used to say, if you see it being advertised, it's not good for you. So is there profitability in social impact? Is there profitability in being a brand on a mission?
Absolutely. And if you look at, for example, Unilever is a case study in hand, and if you look at all the key brands in Unilever that have actually tripled in growth over the years, they're all brands that have actually embraced purpose at the core, whether you're talking about Lifebuoy, whether you're talking about Real Beauty and Dove, for example, what they've done, whether you're talking about Knorr and what they've done, or Royco, for example, on Green Footsteps, whether you're talking about, taking sanitation with your toilet cleaner. I think it gives you more than a brand positioning. It gives you a real purpose to be. And I think consumers, especially the newer generation, is looking for more than just spending their dollars and getting no return from it. I think that era is past. I think everybody is looking. People are looking for being part of something good and a change, right? And that's something that brands on a mission are actually really seeing. So we are seeing quite a lot of profitability. The business case for brands that are on a mission is real. From talent, keeping the right talents because talents want to come back, to, obviously being able to charge a price premium if you need to be able to get more usage at the right time, because it's about getting washing your hands, for example, multiple times a day, right? And I think and we're seeing obviously returns on investments in terms of profits and all of that. But I think the biggest thing is the love you're creating with your consumer. And that is not something that, the love and the esteem that you're creating with your consumer is something that is absolutely amazing. And that's only due to the mission.
What are the first steps? There's a business out there. There's a CEO, there's a CMO, there's a CFO, there's a director, there's a vice chairman listening to you right now thinking, I like what this lady is saying. This professor, she's extremely intelligent. But where do I start? Like, what are the first steps?
What does your business stand for? I mean, I think at the starting point is just reviewing what the DNA of your business, because there was a need in society, which is why you were created. And if you have lost that along the way, that is something that as Brands on a Mission, we are helping a lot of businesses make sure that their purpose are found, but also deepened, right? Because it's not enough to just sell this purposeful solution, but you actually have to bring those solutions to scale, right? It's not about selling the idea of purpose. It's really translating that into solutions for communities. So I think one of the things we do is we try to differentiate helping a business have a purpose and actually making sure that you are giving them a mission so that it is accompanied with measurable, actionable, objectives and goals that we can track and keep some of these brands accountable, not get them also to just have these loose, amazing social goals and, nobody's actually tracking whether they're actually making a difference and whether they're really driving impact, right? So, if you're talking about inclusive beauty, are your ads actually really showing more different type of women, people, with different shades of colors, people, different sizes, so that, we're making that a world that's a lot more inclusive and progressive in a lot of the ways that we are dealing with, for example, beauty. That's one example that I'm thinking about. But yeah, you can get in touch with me. That's what I do for a living, and I'll be very happy to help you.
Spice.
Yet profitable, Brands on a Mission. I'm joined by Professor Myriam Sidibe. Tell me about the book, because I want to find out. I want to find out about the book. Yeah, hold it up. Mumbi, get a close up of that.
This is your copy. I'll sign it later on.
I am blessed. I'm feeling it. What a wonderful day it is. Tell me about the book and how it came to be.
Oh, wow. Look, I told you I took a sabbatical at Harvard. So it was a senior fellowship at the Mosava Ramani Center for Business and Government for a year. And I decided to try writing a book. I said there must be a way in which I could, package all this experience in Unilever in 15 years and produce something that could be valuable for other companies and other businesses, and also just be able to, create a new discipline. And the new discipline that I think I'm creating is called marketing for public health. So how do you merge these two areas of love in my life? Basically, public health is my academic background. I'm a marketeer and I've spent 15 years in marketing. So how do you make these two happen? How do you infuse marketing with more ethics, with more values, as a way that for every single interaction that you have with a brand or a product, you can get some value for yourself and your lifestyle and public health in general? And I think that's the part that was that I wanted to do. So I moved, and Harvard gave me a great team and a seat at the table and a faculty, and then I sat down.
What do you mean a faculty?
A faculty place, meaning I was sitting with the faculty, so
Amazing.
I get a chance. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Is that where you got your honorary professorship?
No, my honorary professorship is from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine.
Love that place.
So yeah, that's where I did my PhD, and they're very anti-private sector. So it was quite an honor that they would give me a professorship, given the fact that I have done my public health career entirely in the private sector. So it was a big wink to the kind of work that I have been able to achieve whilst being in the private sector. So I'm very proud of that as well. But I mean, so at Harvard, I had a team, and then we chose a couple of brands across the world that we wanted to focus on, and also create the framework that I use, which is called the purpose tree. So I use the baobab as my overarching idea to say, this is how you can get brands to bridge the divide between what they say versus what they do. So what I call brand say and brand do, and be able to say that if you sit under this tree and you use your brand and you follow the purpose tree with its 5 roots, and you get behavior change and social norms, right partnerships, the right advocacy around the table, then you're measuring your impact and you're really changing the corporate culture, you can really grow your business very ethically. And so that was the whole premise of the book, is to present this framework and then to analyze a couple of brands across the world with that framework.
Which brands were those? Any we'd recognize?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you know Carling Black Label. Anyway, it's a beer brand in South Africa, and they have this campaign called #NoExcuse, and that's all around tackling toxic masculinity and really being able to show that drinking should not be an excuse for intimate partner violence.
Yes.
So they do all these courses around toxic masculinity and infusing values on men and teaching them ways to drink and how to drink more responsibly as a way to be able to do that, and just demystifying all these horrible examples around intimate partner violence that's usually excused by alcohol, right?
They had a bit too much, or they weren't themselves.
Exactly, which is actually, that's not what this is, right?
Yes, last night on The Adults, I think they discussed lame excuses people give, and that would be one of the lamest excuse to be violent with an intimate partner.
No, absolutely. The frustration and toxic masculinity. But I mean, how much of our social norms in Africa we need to tackle, and sometimes play our own role. So there's a lot of workshops that are currently happening with teaching men, what does it mean? How do you recognize when you're becoming a toxic masculine? And would you want this to happen to you as well? But at the same time, like, what's the role that we women play in fostering this toxic masculinity culture? Anyway,
and encouraging it in some places,
and expecting things that are not expectable. I mean, all those things that we're trying to do. So I think there's that. I mean, I've done Lifebuoy, that's I spent 10 years in that brand. So
yes.
It's a beautiful brand that has gone from a regional brand in Asia to like a $1 billion brand globally. And, has always also reached 1 billion people across the world, done quite a lot of work in terms of affordability and succeeded very well in many, many markets around the world. But what I think is really interesting in the Lifebuoy example is the kind of partnerships with the public sector that they've managed to achieve.
Yes.
So they worked with Sightsavers on eliminating trachoma around the world, which is an eye disease, right? So and I think and that can be done if you can make sure that people are not touching their eyes
with dirty hands,
right? So there is washing your face, right? So I think there is an opportunity here for the kind of very interesting collaborative partnerships that happen with brands that are on a purpose and that are very clear with what it is that their business model can do to impact society. And I think that's also something that's really interesting. I mean, I looked at Durex, for example, and everything they've done in terms of, myth busting and helping to bring just safe conversation around sex, and removing some of the taboos around that. So all this is super exciting, and I'm thinking at the moment with a couple of other brands around dietary diversity, around inclusive beauty.
What do you mean by dietary diversity?
How do you get people to eat more of the nutrients, like more greens, more protein, more fruits, more in a way that gives you all the nutrients you need?
Yes.
I mean, malnutrition is still real, right? I mean, 1 in 3 people suffer from malnutrition. And we're not just talking about the emaciated. I'm also talking about obesity.
Yes.
People
don't realize that you can be obese and malnourished. People don't realize that you can have 3 or 4 meals a day excuse me, and still be malnourished because of the quality of the food you're consuming.
Absolutely. And I mean, and just being very careful that what is considered fast food, like let's say in Europe or in the US, now comes to Africa, and that's becoming what we're considering like a treat. But it's we just need to, there's a lot of work to be done to be able to think about indigenous food and celebrating the culture of some of the food, the local foods, because actually most of the local foods are actually really good for you.
I shared my breakfast once on social, and someone asked me, which prison are you currently in?
What were you
First,
eating?
I'm a vegetarian, and then mostly I'd have like arrowroots.
So amazing.
I have arrowroots, maybe with a poached egg and greens. That's a typical breakfast for me.
That's good. This is an amazing breakfast.
Yes, you, Professor Myriam Sidibe, say that, but those other people who we need to uplift and perhaps enlighten on dietary diversity, as you so eloquently called it, did not believe it. So what are some of the steps people can undertake, or you're working with brands for them to shift that, create that paradigm shift?
Let me read you a quote that was given to me on the book, right? By, I think this one I like. I mean, it's from Emmanuel Faber, the ex-CEO of Danone. But what is at stake in this book is no less that reinventing the role of the market economy for social justice. So I think ultimately what I really believe is that the foundation of social justice is health and well-being, and that so many brands have a chance to be able to impact all these preventable diseases that we're talking about. Wearing condoms for reduction of HIV/AIDS, malnourishment, sanitation, self-esteem and real beauty. But what exactly does that mean in terms of body confidence for girls, right?
Yes.
The fact that depression for young men is a real issue. We're also talking about, people, committing suicide. So the number one cause of young men dying is actually suicide, right? Because they're not understood. And I'm not sure there's a lot of things that brands can do to be able to make sure that we're not leaving too many people lonely out there, and that we're creating connections rather than just consumerism, empty consumerism, right? So I think brands can, they need to go deeper than just a basic product function, because
Yes.
I think the basic product function does not keep the consumer long. And I think there is so much in the markets today, in terms of competition, that you need to find a space that will differentiate you for quite some time, and then be able to really build at the core of your positioning, a purpose that's going to be long lasting. But on the other side, the way I tell them is that it is not fair for you to take a social issue, just touch upon it, do an ad, and then move on without actually driving a real commitment. So there is an accountability on the other side. And we're all governed by the Sustainable Development Goals, right? Which, we need to get there by 2030. And what my company and Brands on a Mission is trying to do is to say, we will impact sustainably at least 100 million people by 2030, but we're going to also unlock at least $1 billion, toward the achievements of the SDGs by 2030. And the way we will do that is by encouraging businesses to invest more towards those business models that are really driving an impact, so that's additional resources towards the SDGs. And that's very innovative in the way this company was created. So people were like, God, that's ambitious for a small company somewhere in Kenya. And I'm like, it's not a small company out there in Kenya. It's niche in what we're doing, and we're being sought after across the world because of the fact that we are, real links to communities, and we really understand what it takes to be able to drive impact and social impact on the ground.
Spice.
Actresses Nini Washera and Melissa Kiplagat. Oh, a special shout out to Irungu Horton. He's a contributor, actually, and you can find his articles in today's Saturday Standard. And of course, Robin T. Emerson, Melissa's dad and stepmom. You see, they have every reason to be proud parents, as their daughter Melissa, Nini, and other amazing Kenyan actors are in the first Kenyan Netflix series. Yes, Country Queen premiered yesterday, and we'll get to it. But first, the amazing... No. I need to be smarter than that. I can't call you amazing. The formidable. That's better. That's much better. The formidable Myriam Sidibe. I need to understand what your role is in the Kenya National Business Compact on coronavirus.
Well, I founded it in 2020, the first day that the pandemic was actually announced and the first case in Kenya was found. We called together with the Marketing Society of Kenya, with Unilever, all the private sector friends that we had, and said, look, what are we going to do? How are we going to respond very quickly to COVID-19 threats? And what we knew how to do, and what I know, was soap, and I knew hand washing, and I knew private sector. So I was like, well, that's the starting point. That's the number one barrier that we need to put in place, is hand washing with soap. So we called all these private sector partners, had over 50 different companies get together, and then we created what we're calling the NBCC, the National Business Compact on Coronavirus. We ended up raising, I think, $7 million. We ran a campaign in over 32 million households in Kenya, 32 million people, on hand washing with soap, distributed hand washing facilities, trained health workers, made sure that soap was distributed, that masks were being distributed. I think if you'd ask the Ministry of Health, they will tell you that was an amazing. So Commercial Corona, for example, was the brainchild of the NBCC. But what really made a difference is that we acted very quickly in Kenya to follow, obviously, the leadership of the Ministry of Health, but to really say, look, we're going to take hand washing with soap. We're going to take the actions very quickly. So there was a pause for a year because there was no more resources, and we were thinking about this. And now, with the sixth wave coming up, we've just revived the National Business Compact, and I just got my seat back as the chair of that to be able to run the campaign, but not only in Kenya, but in Uganda and Tanzania. So if you've seen on TV, Remember the Password, that is the campaign that the National Business Compact with AMREF has actually been on. And we're going to be on digital talking and reminding people that COVID is real, the sixth wave is real, and we need to be able to still continue on those very small but significant preventable measures as hand washing, wearing your mask, social distancing. But vaccines.
I'm just going to pause you for just 1 second. Get your booster shot. They may not want a footbridge, right? They may not want a footbridge by their hospital, but the Nairobi hospital has an amazing, go online, register, you say you want it at this day, at this time, you get there, you get it. It's so super quick. I recently got my booster shot. It is so important to remember to get vaccinated first and foremost, those in your family that haven't, and then you yourself get a booster.
Yay. No, absolutely. The sixth wave is real, and COVID is happening. I mean, we've seen the cases go up. So I think thinking about those amazing, important, simple steps of hand washing, getting your sanitizers close, you need, it's important. It's exactly what you need to do. So remember the passwords that are required for you to have a nice, healthy life. It isn't necessarily that you might go into hospital anymore. It's still just the hindrance, especially when you're an entrepreneur, of being out of work for 2 weeks, right? Because you're getting COVID. That is something that you need to think about very, very carefully. So we're very proud of what we're doing in the NBCC. It's a multi-stakeholder platform with private sector. We're thinking about digital partners and passing on the message, using artificial intelligence to reach community influencers, sending the message out there in the communities, working with youth, with Shujaz, for example. So we're doing quite a lot to think about keeping these passwords, top and center for everyone to remember. And then, so you're going to see us quite a lot for the next 1 year again. And we, as Brands on a Mission, are hosting the NBCC. So we are, again, another brand that we've created that's going to stay on a mission.
Incredible. Now, you've been named as 100 most influential women in Africa?
No, not women, people.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Professor. Okay, tell me about that.
No, it was really, I don't know. All of a sudden I opened the New African and I started seeing a lot of messages of everyone, oh, congratulations on Twitter. And I was like, what is this?
Yes.
And then I was like, gosh, I'm in the same page here with Dangote and Kagame is before me. I was like, this is what is happening here.
My personal opinion, he'd be after you. But anyway, I was not consulted on that. Okay.
No, but look, I was very proud and honored to be featured on that list with some of these amazing people that were on that list, but also just to see that the hard work somehow is being recognized by people that you don't even see. My husband makes fun of me because I was on the same list on the cover page with Mo Salah, right? And I was like, who's Mo Salah? He's like, you don't know who Mo Salah is? Mo Salah, you know who Mo Salah is?
I have no idea who Mo Salah is.
Mo Salah is,
Mumbi, you know Mo Salah? Mumbi doesn't know Mo Salah.
Okay, it's one of the best football players ever. So obviously I didn't know that. And he's like, you don't deserve to be on this list. You don't even know who Mo Salah is. I was like, yep, but Mo Salah is asking himself today, who's Myriam Sidibe?
Yes, he's also like, who is this woman?
Who is this woman who's changing global corporate behavior, right?
Yes.
So, I'm honored. I just think that the opportunity to continue influencing corporations to get them to really embrace what they could do in terms of social impact is a huge honor, and it's a difficult one because fighting sometimes against profits or limiting profits in order to be able to really get social impact is something that's really, really difficult.
But it's short term. It's only short term.
Absolutely,
limiting of profit, and then there will be an upsurge.
Always.
Yeah.
Limiting it's got to be sustainable growth. But it takes a lot of courage as a leader to be able to step up for that. And, it would have been easier to just sit in one corporation and continue, earning a big salary and just sitting there. But I just find that there is an opportunity for me to do that across many different companies. And this is the platform I'm hoping to create and to really build up in Africa and beyond, and show that, African women can influence the world.
I agree.
And I'm a living proof of that. So that's fantastic.
Last parting words on brands on a mission before I say not goodbye, but so long. Anything you would like to leave the Double O Direct audience with in terms of accessing brands on a mission and getting in touch with Professor Sidibe?
Getting in touch with me is very easy. It's mission@brandsonamission.com, and you can find me online. But I think I'd like to leave you with one thought, which is for all the women that are listening to us and, the men also that are also listening to us.
70% of my audience, believe it or not, are men.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Well, I hope everyone is listening, thinking about what their mission is. Because I really like to also get people to think about their own personal purpose and what is their personal purpose and what is it that they're trying to contribute to the world and keep pushing. Because I think there's still a lot of emptiness out there, and I believe at the core that we are all brands on a mission, and you are living proof of that, Otieno. I still remember you at the party, as you were saying, inebriated and wondering what you were going to do with your professional life. But look at what you've been able to achieve, creating a platform and giving that for women, a chance to be able to inspire and keep impacting each other. So I think, as much as I'm doing quite a lot with transformative business models at large scale, I also think about the individual and what we can do to be kinder and to also really try to think about what, what brands on a mission we individually are as well.
Love it. Ladies, and of course, as you've heard, gentlemen, Professor Myriam Sidibe.
Spice.